Howdy, welcome back to the shop. I've been watching that Clickspring guy on YouTube, Chris. He's some fantastic clockmaker and I don't know what all, but he's a pretty neat guy. I encourage you to watch him if you don't. He's got a terrible speech impediment, but I think it's common to Australian people. But anyway, one of his things that he does is he uses super glue to hold weird parts or flat parts to a piece of aluminum and then turn it into lathe. So typically what he does is he clamps on just with the 4-jaw chuck or 3-jaw chucks, he just gets a hold of a piece of aluminum, faces it off and uses it. Well, I don't have that much room on my lathe and I don't like a lot of stick out because this lathe is not great. So I'm just going to make a little chuck. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to take, this will eventually be the back side. I'm going to take and face this off, and then I'm going to cut a relief in here that's going to mount on this stepped shoulder on my spindle. Now this is just 1x4 material. I just cut it out with a hole saw, and then I clamped it down to the bed of my milling machine. And using the DRO, I just put 4 bolts in it on a 3.307 bolt circle diameter. That's 84 millimeter. And then we're going to make our little recess in here, 72 millimeter. That's 2.835 inches in here. So I thought about clamping this in my 4-jaw, but really I just run the studs out the back side of it, or what will be the face of it, and we're just going to put it in here. This face of my spindle has got to be about as square as it's going to get. So we're just going to put this in here and bolt it up evenly so that we're not getting it cattywampus. And we'll face it off real quick and then bore a hole in there, or a recess. So I've got it faced off pretty slick, and I've touched off to the front. I've got my indicator zeroed out there, and we need to come in about 1/8 of an inch, maybe 140 thousandths, something like that. I measured the step in here, and it's right at 1/8. So that's our next little step, and this tool is not really suitable for cutting back here. So what I'm going to do is just take out the most of the material with this, and then I'll come back in with the right tool and cut that, and we'll go from there. I guess before I get too rambunctious on this, I better make good and sure that I'm not going too big. Okay, I'm leaving plenty of room here. That's 72 millimeters right there. Set it about 71.5 millimeters. Okay, about another 1/8 of an inch to go. That'll work. That'll leave me plenty of room. Well, you've seen plenty of that before. Be back in a minute. Okay, so I've got my relief, my hole back here cut, and I've switched over to a high-speed tool, and it's just a tool. I'm not a great high-speed tool grinder. So I'm just going to very carefully come back over here, and I'm just going to keep pecking at this until I get it up to what I think is 72 millimeter. Now I've got this tool canted just slightly so that I'm going to have a little bit of a taper going into that. And I'm just going to nibble, nibble, nibble until I get her about right. Okay, at 1 millimeter. Okay, so that's almost 40 thousandths more than I need to go. Just set my wheel here at 0 and proceed. Okay, I better stop there. I've got my wheel set back up to 0 again. Let's see what we got. Hey, 72 dead nuts. I'm going to get over there and get around the camera out of my way and measure that properly because I can't contort and measure with the camera here. So we'll be right back. So I've gotten, I got my hole turned, and I got to be honest, the results were somewhat spectacular. The hole is just, about 5 thousandths too big. Honestly, in the long run of things, it won't really matter. Because you're not really trying to pick up a center off of this. You're just gluing something to it, and your center is your center. I think the next thing I'm going to do is face this off, and this hole is nowhere near the middle. It's probably 30-40 thousandths out of round, or out of misaligned. That's just an artifact from cutting with a hole saw. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to face this off, and then I'm going to try to find a boring bar that I can reach down in there and bore that hole true, pretty well centered up, and then I may tap that or I may just leave it alone. If I have to, I can stick a bolt in from the back side. I think it would be kind of handy, though, to have something here to where I can bolt a piece up to this if I'm doing a weird interrupted cut. I don't know. I've never done anything with super glue before, so this is all new to me. So I think the next thing, I'll just face this off and then I'll make some decisions. All right, so there's it faced. Now I think one of the things that Chris said in his videos was he puts a series of concentric grooves in the face of his little super glue chucks, and he says that's the super glue won't properly cure if it doesn't have access to air. So I'm just going to take my 45-degree tool, and I'm just going to step in 2 rounds on my hand wheel, which is 160 thousandths. It's 80 thousandths per round. Well, I may go 3 rounds. That'd be 240 thousandths. But I'm just going to put a series of concentric rings in there. I don't know, probably 20, 30 thousandths deep. And this job will be done. Yeah, let's go going. 4, 5, 6. 6 8's 48. 7. Now let's go 6. Ah, there was my studs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. Well, there we go. As the one very large man said, this job is D-U-N done. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for sticking around this far if you have. And the only thing left to say is y'all drive safe.
And watch for deer.
Watch for deer.
Was I quiet?
Oh, yeah, you were very quiet over there, buddy.